So I was asked by a few friends on a Facebook group to post a video on how to seam together the tubes created by the Addi machine. Now, I've had a wonderful time creating this blanket. It took me about a week, 7 tubes at 300 stitches each tube. It was definitely time consuming. My arm was definitely sore after a little bit, but I had fun. I really did. So now to seam these together, I didn't start at the beginning because it would just take too long, but I can definitely tell you how to start just, with this end up here. I'm sorry about my puppy. He's he's just being silly right now. He just whines. So what you're going to do, because I'm almost done right now, is when you start, you're going to make sure that you find the first 2 stitches, for lack of a better word. You're going to find the first 2 stitches, and you're going to go through 2. So I'm just going to, do a little example. So we would start here. Oop, don't go through the yarn. I've made that mistake many times throughout this whole process. But you're going to start through 2. You're going to go through the first 2. And then go through the second. Now I can pull this apart because to not ruin the blanket, but just to pull those 2 together. And you want to always start at the first 2, the first end at the bottom. So that way it's just one seamless, one flawless straight line down, up and down the tube. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pull that out because I want to show you, since I showed you how that started, I'll show you how to finish it, or to just, fix it, or just to, seam everything together. So you're going to get your yarn. It doesn't really make a difference what colored yarn you use. I've seen people say, oh, you got to use the yarn that matches and this, that, and the other thing. I believe otherwise. It doesn't matter, because when you pull this, it's going to be, you're not going to see it. You're just not going to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my yarn, feed it through. Okay, now I stopped at the brown, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this dark brown and we're going to seam it through the green. And to do that, you can stretch out your yarn if you need to make it a little easier for you to see, because you don't want to go through and then end up coming out the other side of your tube. You don't want to do that, because then that'll just ruin your project. So you just go through and you pick up 2 of those stitches in between those V's or upside down hearts. So you're going to pull that through. You're going to see that little dark brown piece of yarn going through. And you're going to go back to the light here and see where that's coming out. You're going to go just above that. And you're going to pick up 2 of those stitches. And you see it's just going to go zigzag. So you're going to zigzag all the way to the top. See where that? You want to go above that dark brown. Pick up your 2 stitches. See, now you can't see where that's going, so you got to kind of stretch it out. 1, 2, and pull. And then start over on the next side. We're going to go just above that seaming yarn. We're going to go just above that, pick up 2 of those stitches again, and pull through. One, 2. As I've been saying throughout this whole process of making this blanket, pick up 2, pull through. It's the easiest way for me to remember. I think you can do maybe 3 or 4. I'm not sure. I've been making this blanket for a week now, and I never saw any videos to seam these together without dropping a stitch. I see a lot of people who create these videos, and they do beautiful jobs. That stitch dropping made me nervous, because I didn't want to spend all this time on this project, drop the stitch, and then have my blanket ruined. It just made me very nervous. So rather than do that, I did a lot of trial and error, and decided, well, maybe try it like this. This was a lot. This took a lot for me to figure out. I mean, I didn't know. And then later, I found out that while seaming these, I just figured, look up, knitting stitches, to, knit a blanket together, or, sew a blanket together. This is called a mattress stitch. I did not know that until very, very recently. I looked it up, and everyone, oh, that's a mattress stitch. I'm like, oh yeah, now you tell me. Thanks. All the stress of having to drop a stitch, and then, oh yeah. So that was kind of frustrating. So since I'm almost at the end of this last tube, you can kind of go above, go to the end of the tube, and kind of just take your hand and kind of stretch it out a little bit. So that way you can see where you're going, rather than, because when you're in the middle of it, you really can't, because it's a big blanket, you really can't, you could, but you'd have to stick your whole arm through the tube in order to stretch it out to see where you're going. So we're going to go 1. Remember, just 2, and remember to go underneath the yarn. Don't go through the actual yarn. If you do, you'll end up pulling the yarn, and it ends up, kind of ruining it, and you gotta tuck things in just to make it look nice. And yeah, that was nerve-wracking for me. So now, I think I'll do 2 more. I'll do a couple more so you can get a better idea of how. And then we can just do like this. Kind of stretch that out a little bit. Good thing about yarn is that it always bounces back. And we got 1, 2. We picked up 2 little stitches and pull through. And I'll do 1 more. Just so you can see. It's a better way of seeing how this closes. Sure you're only picking up 2. I'm sure you can pick up as many as you want. I prefer 2, so I have a better gauge of how this is going. If I do more than 2, it'll probably just throw me for a loop and kind of mess up the whole thing, and I don't want to do that. So now you have this whole back and forth, and then we're going to take this yarn, this seaming yarn, and you're going to pull. Look at that. It's like magic. It's beautiful. You have that perfect seam, and that's it. I mean, you're going to keep doing this until you get to the end. Then that's exactly how it's going to start, beginning to end. You start with the first 2 up here at the top, well, from the bottom to the top. You start with the first 2, 1, and you want to make sure you get these two. And it's going to look really funny when you start it. So you're going to get these two. You got one, you got two, and then you're just going to go back and forth, zigzagging back and forth. So yeah, and I will be done with my blanket today. I just have to crochet the ends of the tubes together, make a nice little border, just around the top and bottom. I'm not going to go around the whole blanket because I actually like how this looks. So I'm just going to do a quick single or double crochet across the ends here. So I hope this was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you have any questions or if you just or if you want to share ideas, I'm completely new to the Addi machine. I love it. It's been a wondrous machine. I can't say, I don't have anything bad to say about it. If you're new to getting the Addi machine, or you're even curious, or if you buy one and you have no idea what you're doing, take your time. There are tons of videos out there on how to use the Addi machine, on how to create different projects, and it's just a wonderful machine to use. And I hope the Addi company comes out with more things, because I've never had so much fun with one single machine. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Have a great 4th of July, and yeah, and thank you for watching.